Good morning, students of class 9. Welcome to our continuing class of climate chapter. So, today we will continue with factors affecting Indian climate. So far, we have already done the climatic controls. So, climatic controls are the factors that are responsible for controlling the climate, that are responsible for shaping the climate of any place. And these factors affecting India's climate are the factors from the climatic controls. They are the, in fact, climatic controls itself, but we will have to study how individual factors are influencing the climate of India, how they are affecting the climate of India. So, in climatic controls we have studied factors like latitude, altitude, pressure and wind system, distance from the sea, that is continentality, ocean currents and relief features. And you will find that all these factors are responsible for shaping the climate of India. Now the first one of this is latitude. Now latitude, I had already said that before, there are three zones on the earth. These are the heat zones. The heat zones are the torrid or the tropical zone, then the temperate zone, and then the frigid zone, which is totally frozen zones. Now India is a country where Tropic of Cancer passes through the middle of the country, and it runs from the Rann of Kutch, which is in Gujarat, till Mizoram in the eastern part. And so all the places which lie south of Tropic of Cancer belongs to the tropical zone, whereas all the places which lies above the Tropic of Cancer enjoys subtropical climate. So India is enjoying both tropical as well as subtropical conditions. So we will find that the subtropical conditions are there in northern India, whereas the tropical conditions are there in southern India. Next comes our altitude. Altitude is the height of a place above mean sea level. Now India is a country which is occupied with varying altitudes. There are flat plain areas, there are areas which lie almost at the sea level, that is the coastal area, where the maximum height is around 30 meters. We have high mountains, the Himalayan mountains, where the height reaches above 6,000 meters, and all these different features, physical features, greatly help us to enjoy different kinds of conditions. Now the Himalayas stand as a guard against the cold Siberian winds. The cold winds that blow in from Siberia greatly keeps the temperature lower in the other parts of the northern hemisphere during the winter season. But our country is saved. No doubt we have winter season, but the temperature is not freezing in the major part of the country. Only the great heights of the Himalayas experience cold freezing temperatures. So the Himalayas prevent us from the cold winds that blow in from the Arctic cold and from the Siberian area. So in comparison to the other latitudes in our country, the winters are quite warmer. Now next comes pressure and winds. Now here there are three factors operating in pressure and winds. One is the pressure and the surface wind. Now I have already explained before that pressure is responsible for the flow of the wind. Always the wind will blow from the high pressure areas towards the low pressure areas. the high pressure areas has too much of wind or air. I'll not say wind. The high pressure areas have too much of air, whereas the low pressure areas has less air. So obviously the air will blow from the high pressure areas towards the low pressure area. Now here another term is given, surface wind. Surface wind means the winds that blow close to the earth's surface. Children, you will be surprised to know that winds also blow at higher altitude. There are winds of a different category which blow at higher altitudes, and there are winds of another category which blows at the surface level. So the winds which blow at the surface level is known as surface winds, and the winds that blow at higher level, they are known as upper air circulation. In your book, children, the next point that is given is upper air circulation. Upper air circulation is the wind that blows at a higher altitude, and these winds are also known as jet streams. We will study this jet stream in your chapter as upper air circulation. And then the third category is western cyclonic disturbances and tropical cyclones. So children, one thing must be known to you all, that cyclones always originate in the sea. If they originate in the seas of the tropical zone, that is, if they originate in the seas that lies between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, it is known as tropical cyclone. If they originate in the seas lying in the temperate zone, that is between Tropic of Cancer and Arctic Circle in the northern hemisphere, and in the southern hemisphere between Tropic of Capricorn and Antarctic Circle, that is the temperate zone of the earth. So if they originate in the temperate zone, it is known as temperate cyclone. So tropical cyclone will always originate in the seas of tropical zone, and temperate cyclone will always originate in the seas of temperate zone. So India is influenced by tropical cyclones a lot. Every year you find that our coastal area is affected by cyclones. Orissa, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu is very often battered by this tropical cyclone. They are very common. And during the winter months, the temperate cyclones are very important. Temperate cyclones originate in the temperate seas. Now, one thing I would like to remind you all children again, wind is known from the direction from where it is coming, from where it is blowing. If it is coming from the west, we say it is westerly winds. If it is coming from the east, it is easterly winds. If it is coming from the north, it is northerly winds. If it is coming from the south, it is southerly winds. So here there is one word given in your book, western cyclonic disturbances. That means the cyclones that come from the western side is known as western cyclonic disturbances. Now this western cyclonic disturbances, they originate in the seas of temperate zone. For our country, the cyclones that originate in the Mediterranean Sea comes from the west. Mediterranean Sea lies between Europe in the north, Asia in the east, and Africa in the south. So this Mediterranean Sea lies to the west of India, and the cyclones that originate in the Mediterranean Sea, they come from the west, and so it is known as western cyclonic disturbances. So in the third category of pressure and winds, we will study about pressure and surface wind. We will study about upper air circulation, that is the jet streams, and we will also study about the western cyclonic disturbances, that is the temperate cyclone that originate in Mediterranean Sea and enter India from the northwestern part of our country, and the tropical cyclones that affect our southern part of the country. Now, here, before going into the main topic of pressure and winds, there is another very important thing that you must know, and that is known as our Coriolis force. Now, we all know that a force operates due to the rotation and the revolution in the world. Now, rotation causes a force which is known as Coriolis force. Now, everything that is moving within the earth, now the rotation of the earth causes a force or develops a force which is known as Coriolis force. Now children, one thing must be known to you all, that earth has a huge mass. It's such a huge body, it has a weight. So when it is rotating, everything that is there within the earth is also rotating. The air which is there within the earth is stuck to the earth's surface with the help of the gravitational force. The air is stuck to the earth's surface due to the gravitational force. So when the earth is rotating, the air is also rotating along with it. As a result, it creates a movement of this thing, and this movement that is created is influenced by this force, and this force is Coriolis force, and this force is maximum in the polar zone, and this force is minimum in the equatorial zone. Now, if a person is standing on the equator and he is standing on a high ground or a high building and drops water or sand, it will fall directly on the ground, vertically on the ground. There will be no deflection. But if one enters the northern hemisphere, the falling will not be direct, but it will slightly fall to the right of its path and to the left of its path in the southern hemisphere. The deflection is slightly to the right of its path in the northern hemisphere, and the deflection is slightly to the left of its path in the southern hemisphere. And the deflection goes on increasing as one enters into the northern hemisphere, and the deflection is maximum in the polar region, and the deflection is minimum at the equatorial belt. Now this was in fact discovered by a scientist known as Ferrel, and it is known as Ferrel's law. In your book also it is given as the Coriolis force. It is the deflection, it creates deflection of wind, and the deflection is to the right of its path in the northern hemisphere and to the left of its path in the southern hemisphere. So children, in my next class I will continue with a proper diagram. So I'll end my class here. So you simply know about the factors, that is how altitude, latitude, pressure and winds they affect. It was just an introductory lecture. Thank you children. Have a nice day.